some of us didn't get the jacket memo, and really, I don't know that the Montreal Alouettes got the memo in November that they were supposed to lose the Grey Cup. They pulled off a shocker. They opened the season in Winnipeg, and let's start by talking about Cody Fajardo, because he really played his best game of the year when it mattered the most. But now with some changes offensively, you don't have Stanback in Montreal, you know, and they've got a target on their back. More seems to be expected of Cody going into the season. Can he deliver?
Yeah, absolutely. We look at Cody, I think there's a sense of freedom. I would expect once you win a Grey Cup, and we know the pressure that's been on Cody over the last few years, deservedly or not, he's been a guy that, you know, is talked about often, and some believe in Cody, some don't. But I think that him getting that win on the biggest stage, like we talked about, is going to have some sense of freedom for Cody. A lot of that and what Cody does comes off his run game. Only one team has more passes off play action than the Montreal Alouettes, and that's Winnipeg. But Cody's going to lean on that run game, whoever's back there. This offensive line, use more of what his skill set is, which is the quick game, his legs. But I just think there's going to be a sense of calm in Cody Fajardo after winning the Grey Cup last year.
And it seems like an odd question to ask when you say, does Cody Fajardo need to do more when he was the Grey Cup winning quarterback, the Grey Cup MVP, but he does need to do more because that was last year. You think about last year, no one was expecting them to accomplish that. No one was expecting them to win the Grey Cup, but this year, most people will probably have them predicted to win the East. And last year, what did he do in the regular season? 14 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. Yes, he needs to do more. No Stanback, no Austin Mack. They're going to depend on Cody Fajardo to have a better regular season than he did last year.
Let me add this too. Turnover-worthy plays, 14 and 12, we talked about it. There's only two quarterbacks that have more what they deem turnover-worthy plays than Cody Fajardo. That was Jake Mayer and Vernon Adams. Cody threw the ball 474 times, I believe. Both of those guys well over 500. So they threw a lot more than Cody did. So he's got to take care of the ball.
Yes.
To your point.
Yes.
Let's talk a bit about Winnipeg now offensively, and they've had an interesting training camp because a number of key players just haven't participated. I mean, you look at Brady Oliveira, he went through the entire camp going into week one without having practiced. You also look at names like Nick Dembski, Patty Neufeld, they've been limited. Adam Bighill's already on the 6 game. So with Brady, will there be any rust in the early going here?
I would like to say no, but if I was a betting man, I'd say yes.
Yeah.
And I know he's been through it. He's taking a bunch of hits. He knows how to pick up blocks, but the timing is off. What's going to be with his conditioning? He hadn't been hit at all as far as hitting it whole. The timing with the offensive line, and they're setting up the hole. So there has to be some concern there that he's going to be off a little bit come that first game against Montreal.
Yeah, it's to your point. As you were saying this, I'm thinking, what's going to be off? He's been in the system. He understands the game. He understands all of it. He's probably in shape. I know he's in shape, but you're right. It's the timing. Yeah. You're questioning the in shape, but we'll see how he feels. If you're hurt and not practicing, maybe you're not in game shape. But looking at this team, you're right. And I name the stars in this team. If we look at the stars of this team the last 3-4 years, guys, right? And we throw out the names like Dembski and like Zach, like Biggie, like Willie Jefferson. And then these guys are star players, and they're in the prime of their career. Now these guys are star players, all but Brady, and they're in the back end of their careers. Now, doesn't mean they can't be successful, but you got to worry about two things now. You got to hope that they're still there and still playing at that high level, and you got to hope they can get through a season healthy.
Stay healthy.
You'll know this. What did Wally Buono used to always say? I'd rather get rid of you a year early than a year late.
Right.
Now, I think what they're doing in Winnipeg is right, because they made the Grey Cup the last 4 years.
Right.
So they have the players, but it is a question and something we're going to look at.
And there are some other ways for Winnipeg to run the ball. One of those is Chris Streveler, the shiny new toy, back in the CFL, back with Buck Pierce. So talk a little bit about the quarterback situation, and Zach Collaros, obviously the guy, but how they use the two of them.
Yeah, that's big. That's big. We talk about the people that they lost or the people who are injured. Yeah. We haven't talked about Chris Streveler, and that's one of the biggest dishes, not only for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, but in the CFL offseason. You bring this guy back. He's a Swiss Army knife. He can do so much for your offense, and you bring him in the game, and your defense has to totally change up what they're doing compared to what they had to do with the first quarterback. So it's a great addition for the Blue Bombers. It's going to be interesting how they use him. I'm sure he wants to get in there and throw the ball.
Well, why did they bring him back? Ask that really quickly. Why did they bring him back? Why did he decide to sign in Winnipeg? What are the expectations for him playing-wise? Is he a backup?
Well, of course he's a backup.
Yeah,
but
he
understands that role as a backup. He knows they have a package for him. He knows he's going to get an opportunity to make some plays. is, but he also knows that the starter is the starter. Right. It's a 2-time MOP, and he's not going to be the starter unless he gets hurt. So I love what they're doing.
I think that's what we want to see, right, Fajardo, is how they use him early. That's one thing I'm looking forward to seeing. How much do they implement him in the offense? I don't think it's a regular starting quarterback and a package guy. I think he plays a lot more than expected. Also, Zach, 25% of Zach's throws come off play action. That's more than anybody else in the league. What does Chris Streveler do better than anybody else? He runs the ball. So looking at him in the pass game, off of play action when he comes in, it's going to be interesting.
Guys, we are almost there. Is it June yet? Yes, it is. Game 1 of 81 coming up on Thursday. We'll try to dress appropriately.